Meeple PhD. I'm a gamer and an astronomer, which means that I see the universe in everything that I do, including board games. In this series of video, I am taking a look at the board game mechanisms as listed on Board Game Geek and finding where they remind me of the universe and the way that we study it. This time, I'm looking at the mechanism of follow. This is a game mechanism where an active player will take an action and then the other players can follow that action as well, either in its exact same form or maybe as a modified version of the action. One game that uses this mechanism is Fort. This is a deck building game where players are collecting toys and pizza in order to build a fort. Each turn, the active player will play some cards from their hand of a certain suit in order to take an action. The cards have both a public action and a private action. The active player can take both of those actions. Other players can discard a card of the same suit in order to follow the public action. And so each turn you're kind of watching what other players are doing, deciding if it's worth following or not. Since you don't get to draw back up to your hand limit until the end of your own turn, you may not want to give up those cards even though that action might be really good for you right now. Or maybe the active player is playing a suit that you're not even planning on playing on your own turn. And so it's worth it for you to just throw a card down and follow the action and maybe get a little more toys or pizza into your collection. Another game that uses the follow mechanism is Savannah Park. In this game, players have their own savanna in front of them with a bunch of tiles that show animals and some watering holes. And they are trying to rearrange these tiles in order to get as many of the same animal together with as many of the watering holes as they can. Each turn, the active player will call out one of the tiles, and everyone else has to take that tile and including the active player, and place it somewhere new in their savanna, turning it over to indicate that it has been moved and it can't be moved again. In this game, you are often hoping that the active player either picks one specific tile or doesn't pick one specific tile, and of course, they always mess you up. But that's okay, because you're probably going to mess them up on your turn as well. Now, in astronomy, the follow mechanism reminds me of triggered star formation. I'm going to explain it in a second. So one way that this can happen is at the end of a massive star's life, it can explode in a supernova. And what happens is its core collapses and its outer layers are pushed out into its neighboring area. If this star happens to explode, either really close to a cloud of star-forming material or maybe even embedded inside one, as its outer layers press outward, it can force material from that star-forming cloud to clump together. And as it clumps together, it can become self-gravitating so that it pulls more and more stuff together until you get a new star. Basically, you get enough material that the center of it is hot enough and dense enough to start nuclear fusion, which is the very definition of a star. And so in a way, this triggered star formation by the supernova exploding is the supernova inviting the other material around it to follow in its footsteps. So the next time you play a game with the follow mechanism, take just a minute to think about all of the stars that could form if they just followed your lead. I'm going to continue this random walk through the board game mechanisms on Board Game Geek. And in the meantime, please do like and subscribe to my channel so that you know when those videos come out. Otherwise, you can follow me on Instagram and Blue Sky, and I have a blog at meeplephd.com. We'll see you next time.